The bold and the beautiful spoilers are in for Tuesday, July 22, 2025. Fans may expect Eric Forrester to make an announcement and deliver a speech in tomorrow's show. Meanwhile, Nick Maroney makes a love approach to Brooke Logan. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the CBS soap drama. Liam Spencer's miracle spreads. Let's start with Liam's miracle. Bill Spencer paid Grace Buckingham $1 million to save Liam's life. It was not an approved procedure, at least in the United States. While Grace believes everything is wonderful, her behavior and flashbacks in Monday's episode indicate that there was no tumor at all. What happens if something goes wrong after Liam's brain surgery? Recovery can be complicated. Read this. Discover what happened in the latest episode of B&B. Back to Liam's recovery. Word will spread that he is not dying after all. Katie Logan and Will Spencer shared the amazing news with Rich Forrester, Taylor Hayes, and Brooke Logan. Even better, Liam was finally reunited with Kelly and Beth Spencer. Eric Forrester's announcement. Over with Eric, he will give an emotional speech on love and life. Then Eric will confirm that the trip to Italy is still on. Of course, everyone will feel a lot better knowing that Liam will be okay. However, I'm wondering if Liam may face issues while his loved ones are out of the country. Read this. The bold and the beautiful spoilers next 2 weeks. Ivy's memories, Grace confronted, and Italy adventure. Nick Maroney's romantic move. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Tuesday, July 22 indicate that Nick will make another romantic move on Brooke. With Ridge clearly moving on with Taylor, may Brooke decide to see where this new experience leads her? She has to get over the dressmaker eventually. Tuesday, July 22, 2025. Fans can watch John Finnegan and Bridget Forrester continuing to marvel about this miraculous treatment. Nothing makes sense to any of them. Hope Logan and Taylor were both suspicious. Fans might see more of Lee Finnegan. Lee hasn't spent much time with Luna Nozawa since her death. Is this because Lee is pursuing her own immoral scheme? Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing on Tuesday, July 22, 2025? Share your opinions in the comments area below. Remember to keep watching CBS or Paramount Plus to see what happens next. The Bold and the Beautiful recap is set for Monday, July 21, 2025. In today's episode, Grace Buckingham attempts to avoid answering questions. Ivy Forrester cannot stop thinking about Liam Spencer. Beth Spencer and Kelly Spencer reunite with their father. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the CBS soap drama. Liam Spencer's disbelief. Bill Spencer announces that Liam's tumor has been removed. Steffi Forrester Finnegan is thrilled. Liam is completely shocked. I hope Logan wants the kids to come. John Finnegan informs Bill that most instances do not end this way. Bill claims it's a miracle. The doctor appears skeptical. Read this. Discover what happened in the latest episode of B&B. Bill delivers a speech by his son's bedside, declaring that he will do anything for him. Bill also says that he would never forgive himself if something happened to him, Steffi, or the girls. The babysitter has brought Kelly and Beth upstairs. They know he was in the hospital but don't know why. Liam forms a bond with Kelly and Beth. Bill tells himself that this was the best $1 million he has ever spent. Katie Logan has good news. At Forrester Creations, Taylor Hayes, Rich Forrester, and Brooke Logan are still discussing Italy. Katie Logan and Will Spencer arrive with great news. Katie and Will describe Liam's miracle. Will admits that his father has made some questionable judgments recently. After Ridge vents his frustration, Will reminds everyone that saving Liam's life was a good thing. Will is relieved that his brother is immortal, but Taylor has questions. She says she'll call the hospital for further information. Read this. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers next 2 weeks. Ivy's memories, Grace confronted, and Italy adventure. Ivy Forrester is distracted. In another office, Electra Forrester discusses her works, but Ivy seems preoccupied. Ivy tells Electra about how Liam was present during her darkest moments. Ivy thinks Liam is quite remarkable. Ivy wonders if she could have gotten another shot with Liam. Now she must figure out how to say goodbye forever. Ivy's brain tumor has shifted her perspective. Grace Buckingham's diversion. Bridget Forrester enters the hospital when Grace is reading a text message. Bridget asks some questions, but Grace doesn't have time for them. Bridget leaves and Grace takes a phone call. She was about to contact them. $1 million has been deposited. Grace recalls having told everyone about the tumor. Meanwhile, Bridget cannot stop thinking about how odd everything is. Share your opinions in the comments area below. Remember to keep watching CBS or Paramount Plus to see what happens next. The early sunlight seeped through Café d'Amour's tall windows, leaving golden streaks on the hardwood floor and catching the edges of porcelain mugs, laptops, and the occasional pastry plate. The area was alive with the quiet hum of discussion and the rich perfume of espresso. Eric sat in the back corner, drumming his fingers rapidly on the table and glancing to the door every few seconds. He wore a navy blue blazer, his go-to for occasions when a hoodie would have been too casual. The last time he felt nervous like this, he was declaring his feelings to someone who later destroyed his heart. But today was not about heartbreak. Today was about something altogether different. His friends began to arrive one by one, Nick with his easygoing swagger and usual caramel latte, and Liam with the faintest limp and a twinkle in his eyes. They greeted him with broad smiles and knowing looks. They had no idea why he had summoned them, but the telegram said, "Big news. We need you both. 10 a.m. sharp. Café d'Amour," was enough to pique interest. Nick slid into the seat across from Eric and raised his eyebrow. "This better be good," he remarked, smiling. "You dragged me out before brunch hours." Liam chuckled and shook his head. "Man, you say it as if you weren't almost halfway here. You practically live here." Eric drew a breath, trying not to betray the trembling in his fingers. He wasn't used to being the center of attention, particularly for something so personal. "I got the job," he said. "The Parisian office. 6 months. Starting next month." Silence. Nick blinked. "Wait, the Parisian office? As in France?" Liam sat up taller, holding his mug halfway to his lips. "Holy crap, man. That is incredible." "I know," Eric murmured, a flush rising to his cheeks. "It's transitory, but it's a massive undertaking. A lead design position. They offered it to me after my March pitch." Nick leaned back, whistling quietly. "You didn't tell us you were even applying for that." Eric shrugged. "I did not want to jinx it. And I wasn't sure I would accept it. But I think I need to. I mean, this is it. The kind of break that people dream about." Eric received a congratulatory touch on the shoulder from Liam across the table. "Dude, that's incredible. Really. We are proud of you." Nick nodded, his grin softening to something more genuine. "You are going to kill it. And maybe you'll finally get over Jenna." Eric smiled rather wistfully. "Maybe." They sat for a while, discussing logistics and making preparations for one final group trip before Eric took out. However, the vibe around the table had gradually shifted. Beneath the joy was an unspoken thread, a recognition that their trio, which had been stable for years, was about to change. And change, no matter how thrilling, has always been accompanied by a calm grief. Later that day, Nick found himself staring into a jewelry store display for longer than he planned. He hadn't intended to stop. He was simply walking aimlessly through the shopping district, allowing his thoughts to wander. But the gentle sparkle of the ring captured his attention. It was not flashy. A tiny sapphire is encircled by beautiful diamonds. Elegant, timeless. Exactly like her. He had not told anyone, even Eric and Liam, about his plans. Felt surreal even to him. He wasn't the most romantic person in the group. In fact, he avoided commitment like the plague throughout the majority of his 20s. But with Claire, things had been different from the start. She disarmed him with her wit, challenged him with her candor, and peeled back every layer he believed was well hidden. Loving her had been easy, natural. However, proposing was a whole other experience. He entered the store before he could talk himself out of it. The clerk, an elderly woman with kind eyes, did not attempt to oversell. She simply let him to grip the ring and feel its weight. "This feels right," he muttered. That night he asked Claire over for a casual meal. Nothing fancy, he cooked her favorite pasta, lit a few candles, and played the playlist she jokingly dubbed our soundtrack. They laughed over wine and told stories about their day, and for a while everything seemed normal. But when dessert arrived, her favorite tiramisu, he presented it with the ring tucked precisely in the center of the dish, a tiny velvet box that opened just enough to disclose its secret. Claire looked at it, blinking slowly. She then looked up at him. "Nick." He got down on one knee before the words faded into fear. I know it's fast, he remarked. And I know I'm not always the best at expressing my feelings. But Claire, you make me feel better. You inspire me to come up every day and be deserving of the love you give so generously. I want to create a life with you. So I am asking, not to tie you down, but because I can't envision a future without you. Will you marry me? Her hand shot to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. Yes, she whispered. Yes, Nick. Yes. He stood and kissed her, laughter and relief filling his chest. For a brief moment, nothing else existed. Only them, the scent of vanilla and coffee, and a future with a name. 2 days later, Liam stood outside the oncology clinic, clutching the edge of the bench as if it would vanish beneath him. His breath came in slow, deliberate pulls, as if he was still convincing himself that being alive was real. It had been a horrible 18 months. Diagnosis, treatment, surgery, additional therapy, unending cycles of hope and despair. He'd seen his physique change. His hair fell out, his muscles shrank. He had seen friends struggle to look him in the eyes. He had faced the possibility of death more times than he could count. And now Dr. Mendes had told him the words he'd hoped to hear since that first horrible scan. Liam, the scans were clear. You are in remission. He'd blinked, nodded. I tried to smile. It wasn't until he reached the seat outside that he burst into tears, silent and overwhelming. He squeezed his forehead against his fists, attempting to keep himself together, but it was impossible. Everything he had fought for, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt had culminated in this. He'd survived. He took out his phone and messaged his sister first. Then Eric and Nick. Then there was the girl he'd been secretly seeing, Maya, the nurse who had given him comic novels during chemo and remained late to play cards when his pain kept him up. They hadn't defined their relationship yet, but he'd seen how her eyes lighted up when he smiled, and he knew he wanted to know what love was like without the threat of death hanging over them. He stood and gazed at the sky, which was a dazzling, unnatural blue. The world felt fresh again. A week later, the three buddies gathered for one final weekend together before Eric's flight. They rented a lakeside cabin, a long-standing tradition, and brought far too much food, music, and nostalgia. They spent the first night around the fire pit, eating marshmallows and recounting old stories. Nick informed them about the proposal, and Liam detailed his remission and future plans. Eric discussed Paris, fear and possibility in equal measure. At one time, with the fire crackling low, Liam whispered quietly, "Isn't this crazy? A year ago I wasn't sure I'd make it. And now I am here. You've decided to get married. Eric is off to pursue his ambition. It's as if we're all venturing into something new." Nick nodded, a warm smile spreading across his lips. "Yeah, it's as if the universe has reset on all of us." Eric glanced at them both with a full heart. "Whatever comes next, I'd like us to promise something, that no matter where we go or how different our lives become, we remain connected. We check in. We keep this." Liam extended his hand first. "Deal." Nick placed his on top. "Always." Eric added his final statement. 3 hands. 3 lives were forever transformed and remain entwined. The next morning, Eric went early to catch a flight to another continent. He grinned to himself as he looked out the plane window at the clouds that were passing by. A quiet confidence had taken root somewhere deep within his chest. Nick, back in the city, hugged Claire as they walked through the park, already discussing wedding dates, houses, honeymoons, and creating something meaningful. And for the first time in months, Liam awoke pain-free, and with the exciting new sensation that the future was wide open. They had each ventured into something new, and somehow, impossibly, wonderfully, they had accomplished it together.